Good morning again. And I want to invite you to stay in the space and continue to invoke that space of your heart. Now, I've spoken to you before about forgiveness, and it's not one of those upbeat, funny talks, it's one of those deep ones that you must listen to from the honoring of your heart, from the places inside of you that long to be set free. And we all have those places inside of us. We all have moments in our life experience where we have been touched by an experience that has caused us grief, or we have been the perpetrators of that grief on others. And it's time. It's time as a community, as we move together and evolve into a greater idea of this consciousness of love and grace and mercy, that we really tend to the areas of our heart, the areas of our being that are holding back. So the invitation from Paramahansa Yogananda, I love his prayers, I love his meditations. They have guided me for a lifetime. And one particular prayer that I have said daily is, may the sanctuary of my heart remain open to all beings. And so this idea also sets you up to really look at the areas and the times of your experience where we can feel the armor close us in. So why is it called the mystical act of forgiveness? Because we can't get there by thinking our way there. It's not logical. It's not from a place, from the sub-personality of who you've become or where that event occurred or what you have done. That was a piece of you, not the whole self of you. So I'm speaking from that mystical place of absolute union. When you dwell there, when you enter that realm, you are able to disentangle all the ways that has rooted itself into your being. And this is a tender subject for me because as a nurse, I have seen time and again, people will not let back into their lives, even on their deathbed, someone that has injured their heart at one time or another. And I find that so painful, especially for the individual that's longing to make that kind of peace before they pass on. And I'm thinking it's everybody's right, but I also find it one of the more soulful parts of being a nurse to witness that and not have the skillful way to bridge that back into wholeness for that person or for the person that's left behind. So this idea for you today is I ask you right now, so we started with this meditation of opening and feeling the ripples of peace and feeling that inner joy perhaps percolate through the cells of your body. And now I ask you the question, where are you holding anger? And where are you holding unforgiveness? Feel it. Try not to brush over it, because it could be something that has been buried so deeply in your being that you've really left it so unattended that you forgot that it was even there. And it could be truly a piece of yourself. So you need to know what that feels like, how it speaks to you. And then we call upon this passageway for the divine love to help heal that idea that we've been holding for way too long. So these experiences of unforgiveness, anger, judgment, whatever you want to call it, they do close the heart, and you probably felt that when I called you into that arena of the meditation of ripples of peace, there was this outgoing. And when I say think of something unforgiven, you can just feel the shrinkage Maybe not a lot, but all of a sudden a little bit of a container comes around you. And you recall the event, and you recall how right you were, and you probably were, and that's okay. You get to be right. So this idea is just to recognize, how is this closing my heart? Because when my heart closes, my consciousness closes, and I create this mental equivalent of my thoughts and my actions. So a moment ago, I'm in the divine presence. A human event which stirred my heart into an awakening, I have allowed it to close me in. I have allowed myself to set up the boundaries, the walls, the tomb. And then I've allowed this restriction of this greater good that is ever present to flow through me as me. And all it takes is this inner acceptance to receive. We've been using the Joyous Living Journal by Reverend Petra Welds for our inspirational talks. And as I read the idea that she wrote about the mystical passage of forgiveness, to be a channel for love, to be a channel for love. Now relax with that. Keep allowing yourself to open. If you were contracted, if you have a big issue, allow yourself to recognize how much better it feels to be the channel for love. We cannot be cynical, and we cannot afford to be resentful. This idea of transcendent forgiveness, you can feel that in that idea of calling it transcendent, it becomes transformative. It is to our detriment, these are her words, to hold a righteous mind. It's to our detriment to hold that righteous mind, looking for justice and retribution to justify our being less than loving. Now, the act, we're not, again, when we're looking at forgiveness, there is no condoning or saying it was really okay that this act has occurred. This is a part where it is what it is, and then we have the opportunity then to lift it up into a greater space. So the event is the event. The occurrence has been done. And now we have created it as baggage, and we've allowed it to be held on. Now remember, this divine nature is always loving, always. And you're being invited right now in this morning, in this practice together, in the company of the presence of the one, of the love for everyone open to go beyond your constricted state, to go beyond the walls, whatever you thought up. You're now called to go beyond into that mystical realm that every mystic can only describe through poetry, through an expression of smile, of awe, because it is so vast. And so we're inviting our whole selves to go beyond the smallness of the heart, to go beyond the pain, the shame. All of these words are so weighted and heavy, to go beyond the blame into a space where the conditioned mind cannot see. The conditioned mind will not go into that space, into that realm, because it only knows a logical sequence. This, therefore that, cause and effect. I'm inviting you into that realm where the peace ripples from you out into the cells of your body. You see, it's very important what Yogananda was saying in that meditation, because when we do spiritual practice, when we do meditation, our eyes look up. Our eyes look up into this realm of possibility, of potentiality. And if we look down, we're holding that idea down. But when we have our eyes look up, and it goes to our forehead and it ripples, this sense of peace, this sense of openness, it affects the hemispheres of the brain. It scientifically, it already has begun. And there's been so much research showing these states, these MRIs and scans of the brain that just show the awakened brain from the practice of meditation, where that corpus callosum, whatever that separating membrane is in the brain that goes from the right and left hemisphere, it gets wider and broader, and it sends the message of greater understanding. And so it's scientifically that's already happening as we allow these ripples of peace, and you can feel, oh, that feels so wonderful to just allow my eyes and my heart to lift up. And when we lift into that place, it trickles down into the heart. And every cell of our being has to pass through the heart space of our body. And so the forgiveness is bathed in those juices of greater knowing into that mystical realm. As one of the great Rumi poems always express, go to that space beyond, into that field beyond, let us meet there. And it feels like such an invitation of grace and mercy to follow that loving presence. To follow that loving presence. We have so much time left in our lifetime to do this work. And so we're following the lead of our heart. And remember, it will not be logical, because you cannot plan any revenge. It's just allowing yourself to be open and to let go and to forgive. It's a spiritual journey into a realm that we visit in these moments of transcendence. So when you are caught in one of those moments, whether it be a moment where you glance up and you see the geese flying in formation and there's a moment of awe, if it's the beautiful sunrise or sunset, in that moment of awe, humble yourself into remembering your practice to forgive, to let go, to release, and to stay open to that great awe, so that universal flow of love and grace is moving through you. You see, the medicine for forgiveness is love. I'll be doing a memorial service this afternoon, and one of the important teachers of this individual that passed on she was a devotee of a woman named Amma, the hugging guru, saintly woman that she just hugs for hours at a time. People stand, thousands of people will stand, and she won't even take a break. She just keeps embracing everyone like it's the first embrace of the day. And she speaks of love. She speaks deeply to this love, and one of her quotes is, "Love is the only medicine that can heal the wounds of the world." Love is the only medicine that is going to heal the wound in your own heart. May your thoughts, words, and actions arise from love. Become innocent like a child. These are Amma's words of truth that resonate with our heart. And I wanted to share the story of a particular monk. I have this wonderful book that I've spoken from before, Beyond Forgiveness, Reflections on Atonement. But this particular story spoke to an idea that I was longing to have us all leave with today. And this particular monk was practicing bowing. And this is incredible that he took that Pacific coastline, which is forever, and he bowed the whole journey of that trek. Every 3 steps, he would bow. He would bow all the way down in the idea of great humility to allow his head to touch the earth. And it took him 2.5 years to make that journey. Isn't that amazing? To do that. And with every prostration that he did, it was 800 miles of journey. For all the harmful things I've done with my body, speech, and mind, from beginningless greed, anger, and stupidity, through lifetimes without number, to this very day, I now repent, I vow to change entirely. So those were his words. With every 3rd step, he would bow and repeat that vow. And sometimes I think, well, okay, that's what you guys have to do now. Okay, goodbye. So you bow out of here. You know, it's just like, man, that is a lot of work to tend to that forgiveness, and I'm not asking you to do anything that hard. So but he finishes that journey, and it was very interesting because he ends up going back after he finished that pilgrimage, and he went to live with 2 other monks in a tiny cultivation place in Taiwan. One person was the monk I did the pilgrimage with, and the other was a new monk, a young man with whom I took an instant dislike to. Have you met people like that? For no reason. I don't like you. I can't look at anybody in here. I don't like you. And it was mutual. And that was like, wow, what's this from? He wanted to knock me off, and I thought he was a young punk, arrogant and proud, a 20-year-old who had been through high school in a monastery but knew nothing about the world. Now, can you see how we can build up the case against the person we don't like? We have to make up something. I don't like you, so therefore you're a punk. We three were cooped up together in Taiwan, two of us fighting like cats and dogs before the ceremonies, at meals, and after meditation. The third monk kept saying, "What's going on? What are you two doing? How is this in any way a Buddhist practice?" It went on like that for 3 months. 3 months. When we came back to the States, Master Hao asked, "How was your trip to Taiwan?" He took one look at the two of us and said, "This is not so simple. You two work it out." Well, 6 months later, with our enmity karma burning hotter than ever, it's just not going away. Okay? I went to Master Hu and I said, "I can't stand it anymore. Why do he and I have this negativity? I don't feel this way about anyone else. Please tell me what to do." "All right, you are sincere. Yes, I really mean it. Nobody in my life strikes sparks like this guy. I'm so tired of having somebody I can't make peace with. I can't go on this way. I'll do anything to atone for whatever I've done to cause this negativity." Do you guys have some experiences like that in your life, even with your own self? Okay, he said, "That's what I've been waiting to hear. At last, you're showing some understanding of principle. A conflict like yours comes from past karma. You and he have been at each other's throats before. It's really mutual. The debts are piled up on both sides. But all it takes to untie it is one person's determination to stop the hatred. One person. So it doesn't take the other person to buy into your forgiveness. It doesn't even take the part of your lower mind to buy into it. It takes just that one higher self. So all else is everything else will simply roll off forever. If you truly want to make a change, here's what you can do. You light a stick of incense and bow in front of the Buddhas at the altar. You know how to bow, but do it with sincerity. With each bow, say, "I want to put an end to all enmity that I have created with this person and with any sentient creature that I may have harmed. May all harm I've done that caused negativity and conflict in the present be neutralized and dispersed. May all wholesome conditions and positive affinities grow and flourish." So this is a Buddhist practice, but you take it to your altar of your own heart, and you bow in a similar way, offering that same prayer of the heart. Bow every day for as long as you can. Do it every day, regularly, and put your heart into it. So it can't be, "Oh yeah, I forgot to floss," and do it real quick. It's really sitting with the practice and opening your heart and allowing yourself to remember to do it regularly. Vow to change your thought habits from negative to wholesome. Then every day when you're done bowing, transfer the merit to all beings, especially those who, like you, have negative affinities. Make the measure of your mind big. Send it beyond you and him. May all negative affinities, enmity, karma, and hatred that troubles all beings come to an end. May positive seeds flourish and grow. May all beings live in harmony and peace. I want you to transfer the merit like that every day at the end of bowing. And if you're sincere, I guarantee there will be a change in the relationship. But you really have to become a different person. Remember the misery of having an endless conflict and stop fighting with yourself. Transfer the benefits and the merit with everybody. So the monk, knowing that his life is miserable this way, does exactly as it is asked of him to do, and he does it sincerely. And so it would be that the young monk was transferred away, and years later, They ran into each other, but they passed each other at first without recognizing, and then they both turned, and they just nodded at each other and kept going. It wasn't until many years later that one young monk left the monastery, and they ran into each other, and they couldn't stop chatting and talking and saying, "What was all that? I don't know, but all of a sudden it just went away. All of a sudden it just went away." So the seeds of conflict that had been made conscious, he had wished to bless this person. So you see, when you're so entangled in the injury or the injustice that happened to you, you can think that there's just no way out of this. But it takes this dedicated practice, this willingness to do something. And I leave you with that idea that this willingness is today to finish your unfinished business. I've been following this story of the parents of the young black boy that was shot, the 16-year-old, from the car. The white man shot into the car because the music was too loud. I don't know if any of you heard that story on the news. Very painful story. And I look at those stories as a call to really deeply listen and to try to understand all parties. But it didn't take very long for me to conjure up an attitude about the guy that did the shooting. I mean, I don't even know him, but I didn't like him. And I thought, well, how is this? Right away, just because he kind of puts his lip up a little bit when he talks, suddenly I thought, I know your mind. I know your heart. You're one of those. And I thought, look at me. I have never had a conversation with them. It was only a piece of the news that they allowed me to see. But I listened to the interview of the parents, and this is the part that struck me, because all the controversy, because the jury came to a certain point, and the man is sentenced to jail for a long time, but not for the death of the young man. And so the father was speaking to that, and he spoke with such pain about going to see his son when he had passed away, and holding and hugging his son and kissing his son and trying to get the fragrance of his son's skin upon him because it would be the last time. And just this very tragic testimony. And the mother, choked through her words of the immediate horrific act. But she went on to say in the interview that she has forgiven. The father has not. He goes, I will not. I will not forgive. And so there is this balance. And I thought it was as I was preparing for this talk, to see this dialogue go on. And the mother, I could see she was very sincere. I have forgiven. And the father said, I need to sit face to face with him first. I need to see that he is sorry. And so oftentimes we hold this space of unforgiveness until we can see and witness that the other party is indeed sorry. Sometimes that won't happen. But while you're waiting for that to happen, you need to continue to process your feelings, process the pain, process the injustice, to feel what you need to feel, to recognize, not deny, but to know that this indeed happened, that perhaps you indeed did something that wasn't very skillful, but then you offer it up into that greater realm, into that place where we all meet, into that place of the greater mind and the greater heart. Honor your pain, name it, tell your story, surround yourself with people that you trust, that will listen to your story. But when you've done that and you feel complete with that, begin to take yourself out of that tomb that you have enveloped yourself in. Choose forgiveness and begin to watch yourself as you think about being in a tomb and approaching the light. Can you imagine that? Seeing what it would be like to be set free, to not have that burden carried around with you, just as the testimony of this monk. You go to somebody wise and you say, help me get through this. And it's always a prayer of the heart that honors forgiveness Because you know that you, in some of these situations, like I said, you know that you were probably right, but you can still forgive. No one else has to support your forgiveness. It's up to no one else but you. This narrow, restricted place has a hand reaching out. I want you to really feel that. That narrow, restricted place of unforgiveness has a hand. It has my hand. It has a friend's hand. It has God reaching out to you, calling you into that spaciousness of acceptance. When you choose to step into that place of acceptance, it is filled with grace, it is filled with mercy, it is filled with a space and a love that is beyond what you can think. Mark Twain is quoted as saying, listen to this, "Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that crushed it." Break the holding of your mind, the struggle, allow it to unravel the tangle and watch it suddenly give way. It's mystical, it's spacious, it's breathable, it's present, it's within you, as you. There's no separation from you and this greater self. So in closing, I wanted to share one of Ernest Holmes' beautiful sayings. And I think you have all heard the peaceful prayer. Can I always do this? Here it is. Okay, this is Ernest Holmes. In the back of the Science of Mind text, some people say, oh, it's so hard to read through. When you get back to the back, there's these juicy meditations and reflections that are so poetic. And you will open to one of those and it will be the answer to your heart. So this in particular, I am complete in thee. Think again as you close your eyes. I invite you once again to visit the realm of your heart. Is it open, or has it been conditioned way too long to just close out? It could be the most innocent of beings. It could be a part of your own self. But allow yourself to shed light on that as you hear this wisdom from Ernest Holmes. Almighty God, everlasting good, eternal Spirit, maker of all things and keeper of my life, thou art all. Infinite presence within, in whom all live, joy supreme, flooding all with gladness, I adore thee. Eternal peace, undisturbed and quiet, I feel thy calm. Guide thou my feet, compel my way, direct my path, keep me in thy presence. My feet are guarded, but I am guided into the all good. No harm shall befall you, my friend, for a divine presence attends your way and guards you into the all good. Loving kindness awaits you at every turn of life's road. Guidance is yours along the pathway of experience. An infallible power protects you. God himself and no other is your keeper. I proclaim this for you. We take a breath into that realm of love. I honor each and every one of you being here today with the willingness of heart to listen to this idea of the mystical act of forgiveness. Feel it as you breathe, that idea, that freedom, as that which has been a burden to you is lifted forevermore. As you open to this greater realm, this greater idea of who you are in connection to the one. This one mind, this one truth, this one mind, this one truth holds for you the healing, the forgiveness, the truth, the love, the presence. This one mind. Feel it. Touch that grief place of your heart, allowing it to open and ripple out. With great love, it anoints all that it touches. As you allow this truth of forgiveness to radiate out into all beings, forgiving the unskillful ways of our actions, of our words, of our thoughts. We forgive ourselves and we forgive others, allowing ourselves to create a world of greater peace, of greater love. It is done, and so it is. Good morning. Let me take all of you in. You know, standing here has been such a privilege for this lifetime. I've been at the center forever. But the privilege of these last 2 years has been so heart-opening for me personally to watch so much healing transform through our center, so much shift, so much awakening. And a lot of that stems from what I'm talking about today, the mystical practice of forgiveness. And I have spoken to it before, but I speak to it again, and we speak to it daily. You see, it's a practice that we are invited into daily, because we live with all of these sub-personalities going on inside of our being. And we have this opportunity to allow ourselves to invoke the presence, so done beautifully with that song. Thank you very much for that song. So interesting, she wrote me earlier this week, and she said, what is the reading going to be? I had a message to do it to music. And I said, I don't know until Saturday comes. I have, I can tell you about people's blood pressures and all that kind of stuff during the week. But I kind of set my Saturday aside. I devote that day for spirit and to sit with the message. And sure enough, that was one of the passages that I had read over and over again. So and you made it to song. So lovely, so perfect. So the idea that what I'm inviting you to today and every day, from this moment forward, because we are evolving, we've been friends for a long time, and it's now to let go. It's now the time. It's now the time to put down the burden, the heaviness, the restricted heart that you've been carrying. Perhaps you're so familiar with your restricted heart, you even forgot that it was closing in on you. So how do you do that? What is the practice? I start always with the lead from a master teacher, and one of mine has been Paramahansa Yogananda. So a meditation I share with you. So we start here. So feel your heart open. God is in the heart and soul of every being. No one's left out. God is in the heart and soul of every being, and when you open within yourself the secret temple in your heart, then with the all-knowing intuition of the soul, you shall read the book of life. Then and only then will you contact the living God, and you will feel him. You will feel him. Hear that word. You will feel this as the very essence of your being. Without this feeling in your heart, there will be no answer to your prayers. You must feel this in your heart. You may attract what your positive actions and good karma permit you to have, but to receive the conscious response from God, you must first attain divine attunement with Him. Divine attunement. What does that mean? How do we get there? We get there with every breath. With every breath of our mind and our heart, we enter that temple. We enter that space where God dwells within each one of us as us. The song, again, so beautifully takes us into that journey. So I start with that question, that hard question. What are you holding on to? Are you holding on to anger? Are you holding on to unforgiveness? In any aspect, to yourself, to some historical figure, to something that happened so long ago in history, but we still carry an idea of that is just unbearable and unforgivable. Even that, we lift it into this mystical realm. What is the mystical realm? It is the one love, the one mind, the one truth, that mystical place where we lift our heart to, and we offer this into that greater good to be transformed. Forgiveness is about releasing and allowing your consciousness to step into a greater consciousness. So when I invited you into that question, what is your story? It could be a small story. It could be a huge story that you've carried with you. You could be so wounded. And my heart hurts for that. We all have compassion for one another and great mercy in holding that pain. But allow yourself to not take it to your deathbed. Let it go. Feel yourself lifting it up into a place that transforms it, transmutes it, transcends it. Because God is greater than whatever happened in your world. And it already has happened, and it could be some shame or guilt or insecurity that you're holding on to. And you know what? You have every right to feel that way. This is not what that's about. You have the right to feel right about what you're doing and feeling. That's okay. It's okay to feel all the feelings that there are to feel around any injustice. This was so interesting to me this week. This is how quick this happens. In our class on Wednesday night, one person brings in something from the news that we share, and we try to find God there. And one of the people brought in a picture, was all it was, but it was a picture from Sandy Hook and from those days. All it showed was the grandfather and the grandmother looking on, trying to move on. It didn't have any real caption with it, but each one of us had a story to tell about that, and yet there was no story with it. But we saw the picture. Oh, yes, this means, and then we started to fill in what wasn't written just by the expression. And it was so interesting that the people in each story was different. Same picture, no words, but the imprint of our experience, of our feelings, were infused into that picture. And the opportunity is to look at that and lift it up, to lift it up. So this idea of the opportunity, what would it feel like? As I thought of my moment of unforgiveness for myself or a fellow human in my experience, or for something historical, what would it feel like not to have shame or blame or criticism or anger? What would it feel like? What is the possibility here? See, I'm inviting you into the possibility of experience. Not that you have to do this, because it's your journey. It's your journey, but the possibility of opening to this journey and to be set free. We're calling you into that mystic realm where this flow of creativity, this acceptance, this greater power, this idea of appreciation, compassion, forgiveness dwells. So it's not a right brain or a left brain. It's a whole brain. It's a whole beingness that we enter into this place. And it starts It begins with just that question, that willingness to be there, to not look away, to stay there long enough. What have I compartmentalized in my experience? What have I walled off or held over here? And I am justified to hold it there because they did me wrong. And yes, they did you wrong. And that event has been done. But what you get to do with it now, you see, you don't want to be prisoner to that, so you want to be able to set it free. And the conditioned mind will keep wanting you to be right and to keep trying to pull it back and to fiddle with it, as Reverend David said last week. We always are wanting to fiddle with these things to try to make them right out here in this world that we live in. But I'm inviting you to lift it up into a realm, into the mystery, into that place where all love dwells. And through meditation, through the doorway of meditation, we stand at that gateway. And we find a place where we can see ourselves willing to see what it would be like on the other side. How wonderful if each and every one of you walked out from this sanctuary today with that freedom of the heart to see and to know and to witness and to live what it is like on the other side of this pain you've been holding. So as you spend your time with us today and you kind of sort through and you're opening to the pain, allow there to be mercy and tenderness to bless that which you feel. Because you'll recognize the different aspects of you that will start to argue, that will start to be trained to object to my word up here. It'll object because you're so used to carrying it. And how dare I say that that was okay? And I'm not saying any act that has harmed you was okay. There's nothing about that in this lesson today that is okay about why your heart was broken or you hurt. But the big point here is not to take all of our experiences so personally. That goes back to the wisdom of Don Miguel Ruiz. And I have to visit that particular one all the time. In fact, when I go through the 4 agreements and I'm going, okay, there's be impeccable with my word, there is, and I get to this one, I always forget, what's that other one? Don't take it personal. And everybody knows that I totally take everything personal. I mean, anybody, shifts in their chair and think, what? Why, what? Don't like what I'm saying? What? And I'm just like, people say, why don't you want to be the minister here? Because I take everything personal. I kill myself here. Charlie hears me go home and just, they said this. I think it was something I did. I think it's me. It's my fault. I'm sure of it. I am so tired of taking it personal. So when I look at that question, that invitation, would you like to be the pastor here? I can't take it so personal. I've been here so long and I've done all the things wrong. But if I feel what it feels like to let it go, hello, Reverend David. Hello, keep searching. Whatever it is, I'll continue to stand in that place to serve and be willing and to keep polishing that part of me that always takes it personal. Always takes it personal. But what do I benefit from that? I don't benefit at all. I need to go into that place of being absolutely open and accepting. And so this place is deeply personal, isn't it? When I invite you into that place of your heart, so personal. But invite some space into this. Feel what it feels like to feel that space around your heart. There was one particular reading from Stephen Levine who always speaks to that so eloquently. And he wrote this in one of his books about the mystery. At the center of your chest, where once that grief point pulsed, so that grief point, for when you had that insult, when you had that pain, the breath breathes itself in and out of the touch point of the heart, where mindfulness and devotion converge, where, to paraphrase one precious teacher, love tells me I am everything, and wisdom tells me I am everything else. And between these two, my life flows. right at that grief point. We breathe in, we breathe out, the spaciousness of the breath. And when I invited you to kind of just explore, be willing to explore, what have I not forgiven? What have I not forgiven myself or others? How have I harmed unskillfully another being or myself? And we can feel the heart start to contract. And we can feel ourselves shallow in the breath. But right there is the temple of your heart, this grief point. And we live between this space. And I'm inviting you into a more spacious idea of beingness. It's a lovely feeling. It's a place of love. It's a place of oneness. So when you ask yourself, well, have I really benefited from taking everything so personable? No. It really feels like freedom to let it go. Do I gain anything? No, maybe a little bit of arrogance. But then you have to forgive yourself for that. It just starts a whole trend. All you end up doing is shrinking smaller and smaller into this idea of yourself, of your true nature. And yet the true nature of you is this oneness with this greater intelligence, this greater mind, this greater love. So we're relocating ourselves. We're moving into this greater idea. We're being open to a possibility. What does it take? It takes compassion, mercy. It invites us to investigate our anger. We are looking at the ways that we have placed shame, judgment, anything that has afflicted our mind, made us smaller. What has blocked this quality of this grief point at our heart space? We're inviting ourselves to join together, to be the person that we can share our heart with one another, to tell our story one more time, and to bow our head with humility and say, yes, I did that, or yes, this happened to me. But I want to take that journey of forgiveness. I want to be set free. And see what this does for yourself as you move through. Test the flow of your energy, of your heart, as you take on this spiritual path, being the spiritual warrior to your greater truth. Forgiving your heart for what you could not see. Thich Nhat Hanh says, that's the greatest way to hold another human being. Forgive their hearts for what they could not yet see. Sometimes acts of violence or harm are done so quickly, and that mind was unskilled, that heart was closed. They could not yet see. Yet there is this greater mystical mind and heart that is greater than that deed done, and that takes us by the hand and leads us through. So to assume ever, and this can happen so quick, like we did with that one little picture in our class. We can assume that we know another's mind. I know that they did that because their lip was turned up funny. I'm pretty sure of it. Anytime a lip is turned up like that, that means, and then you fill in the blank. Because it's been your journey. It's been your wound. And when you start to poison the situation by placing your assumptions into the storyline, or overthinking or assuming that you know the motive, we really don't. We really cannot know that. You must start from the place where you feel that your heart is contracted and position yourself there and to see the ripples of peace start to move through your heart space and to open to a greater idea. So don't take it personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And be impeccable with your word. Those were the 4 agreements. Which one sticks with you? Which one allows you that greater hand to lead you from the darkness, from the walls where you've constricted yourself with unforgiving acts, and being open to the possibility? You see that word, just the possibility, not you should or you have to, but you have the invitation, the possibility to enter into being the companion with God, to allow this constant presence in your life, to approach each and every person and situation in a unique way, to allow yourself to enter the mystery and allowing it to be a daily prayer of your heart. If I have harmed anyone, may I please be forgiven. If anyone has harmed me, I forgive them freely now. Just a daily, quick prayer of the heart, but daily. And when the heart constricts, when all of a sudden someone irritated you and you have no idea because you don't even know them, I forgive myself for closing my heart right here and now. And you keep working it. You work it for a lifetime until the last breath you take. You feel that you've done your forgiveness work and you are clean. Your heart's clean. You're carrying no karma with you in any way. This will allow you to do the practice of truly opening to what is. And I love this book by William Martin, this Tao of Forgiveness. I love this book so much, and I find different truths in it each time. I've read through the stories several times. But think about this. Oftentimes, now you know how a dream can affect you, right? It can spoil your day. Sometimes I've woken up from a dream and I'll tell Charlie, I said, You betrayed me in that dream last night. And he was going, I didn't. Don't carry it into this day. I said, I'm trying to sort it out. I said, I haven't had that wound for a while, and I haven't had that since I was 19. You did that to me, Charlie, in that dream. It's only a dream, he keeps saying. It's only a dream. And he starts digging himself out of something he didn't even do. But I watch how the process it takes to wake up out of that dream. Have you had that before? It just sticks. And somebody can say, what's wrong with you today? I don't know, it's the dream I had last night, I'm grumpy. And it's like, what is that? It was only a dream. And so many mystical, spiritual teachers tell us all of this is just a dream. All of it is just to wake up into the possibility of a greater love. So, how do we process out of a dream? At night, a nightmare? The same that we would work the same tools to process through our experiences of the day, of our appearing to be awake. It's just another opportunity and another lesson for you to move through, to find a greater idea, to get in greater touch with that open heart space. So separateness in a dream was this particular story of the Tao. No unhappiness ever seemed to touch the village of Wu, situated on the bank of River Wei. The villagers of Wu were content to their lives and lived in harmony with whatever direction the Tao would take. Living in harmony with whichever direction the Tao, the One, the Truth, the Love would take. They could have prosperity and health or famine and sickness, but never lose their serenity because they each knew they were expressions of the Tao and forever at home in the Tao, forever at home in the One. One night, a young girl named Maya experienced a most horrible nightmare. In her dream, all of the people in the village had been transformed into monsters. They still looked like her friends and family, but inside they were possessed by evil spirits. In her dream, she was all alone and the only person unaffected by these evil spirits. She could no longer trust anybody and had to be on her guard at every moment. It was a terrifying dream. The horrible dream was so vivid that when she woke up, she continued to believe that these terrible things were real. In her waking life, she began to lash out at her family and friends. She was convinced that they were evil inside, and they would try to harm her if she let them. So she did whatever she could to protect herself, and she began to steal valuables from them so she would have the things she felt she needed to be safe. The villagers came to her and told her that she must stop stealing. They tried to show her that she was safe and loved and did not need to fear. She fought them with viciousness and fury, leaving one older man severely wounded. Now take yourself in this story. Find where it kind of goes, oh, I've kind of done that to people when they've tried to help me. They tried to help me see a greater way, but I've just lashed out at them because I needed to protect that part of my heart. Finally, they were able to subdue her and just put her under guard in a village elder's home. Each day, people from the village would visit her, bringing food and gifts. Each day, she would accept their gifts, but she remained suspicious and hostile. Each day, they would talk to her of their love, and each day she would reject them in her fear. Feel that. Feel how many times you've walked into this community, and we've spoken of love, and you go, yeah, I kind of hear it, but I've got this hostility going and I'm going to hold on to it. 3 years later, she still believed her dream was real and still remained under guard, but each day she was fed and cared for with loving kindness. One day, a visitor in the village saw how kindly she was being treated and said to the village leaders in astonishment, "You're wasting valuable resources on this woman. She's done harm to this village, and you treat her with special kindness. She should be punished. She should be beaten and taught a lesson. She should not be rewarded for crime." "Punished," said the leader. "Do you punish your child for having a nightmare? She's only dreaming. We care for her in the hopes that one day she will wake up." Let us care for one another at that deep level with that loving kindness that someday we'll wake up to our hardened heart and to breathe deeper into that flow and realize we were one with that greater love all the time. All the time we are connected to that one. And in closing with this meditation, this Tao meditation that is so exquisite, he shares this part about a dream. "When I dream of falling off a cliff, I awake with beating heart and panting breath. My body believes the dream. In my waking life, I believe many dreams, that I am separate and alone, that some people can harm my deeper self, that I can harm their deepest self, that no one cares about me, that I am unlovable and inadequate. Oh, these dreams seem so real. I would like to wake up. I'm afraid to wake up. I'm willing to wake up." Be willing today to wake up and take the opportunity to enlarge in that space around your heart that has been wounded, that has suffered, that you have caused suffering on your own self or to your fellow being. And as we take this opportunity, heart to heart, hand in hand, breath by breath, to do this work, a greater good, a greater world is continuing to unfold. And in closing, these wise words of Ernest Holmes, join me in this knowing as you close your eyes and get in touch with the ripples of peace that I know dwell within you as you. "I am complete in thee, Almighty God, everlasting good, eternal Spirit, maker of all things and keeper of my life, thou art all. Infinite presence within, in whom all live, joy supreme, flooding all with gladness, I adore thee. Eternal peace, undisturbed and quiet, I feel thy calm. O thou who dost inhabit eternity and dost dwell within creation, who dost live through all things and in all people, hear thou my prayer. I would enter thy gates with joy and live at peace in thy house. I would find a resting place in thee, and in thy presence live. In thy presence live. Make me to do thy will, and from thy wisdom teach me the way of truth. Compel me to follow thee, and let me not pursue the path of my own counsel. O eternal and blessed presence, illumine my mind and command my will, that my soul may be refreshed and that my life may be renewed. As deep cries unto deep, so my thought cries unto thee, and thou dost answer. I am renewed and refreshed. My whole being responds to thy love, and I am complete in thee. All my ways are guarded and guided, and I shall live with thee eternally. O lover of my soul and keeper of my spirit, none can separate us, for we are one. So shall thy wisdom guide me, thy presence dwell within me, thy love keep me, thy life envelop me now and forevermore. Feel this. I rest in thee. And so it is.